Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z Flashback, a series of explorations of the 150 games that make up Atari Flashback Classics for Nintendo Switch. Today's game is RealSports Boxing. This was a 1987 release for Atari 2600, making it a much later release than any of the other RealSports titles, and it also means there's no Atari 5200 version as well, because that system was long dead by then. This was noteworthy for featuring some relatively advanced features for the 2600, such as selectable characters and a variety of different moves to use. It was a strong contrast to the simplistic but well-regarded Boxing by Activision, in that it unfolds from a side-on perspective and more closely resembles what we now know as a fighting game. There's not a ton of information about this available online. The latter years of the Atari 2600 have not been recorded anywhere near as extensively as the history of the first wave of games for the system. But, well, that's partly what this series is all about. So, let's go play RealSports Boxing.
Okay, welcome once again to Atari Flashback Classics, where today we're looking at RealSports Boxing. Just a slight correction to the last episode. I mentioned that RealSports Basketball for the Atari 5200 was one of the later releases. I was actually getting it slightly modelled up with this one. So RealSports Boxing was part of the second wave of Atari 2600 games, whereas RealSports Basketball was 1983, I think, or at least RealSports Basketball for the Atari 5200 was anyway, or was supposed to be. This one is part of the latter wave of Atari 2600 games, though, so this is one that would have been released alongside Double Dunk, which is the reason I brought it up at all in the first place last time. So just wanted to correct that from last time. Not that anyone really minds too much, I'm sure, but there you go. Anyway, RealSports Boxing. Let's have a look at the manual. You've got incredible heart and a live right lead. Show him your slaying power. Punch iron fists around the ring for the total 7 rounds, or rain blows on Macho Man till you've got him up against the ropes. A flurry of payoff punches puts away Jabbing Jack, and Lefty O'Leary goes down with a body blow inside and low. It's capacity crowd tonight, and you've got top billing. Take the boxing title under decision, or go for the knockout. Duke it out! Right. In one-player games, use the left difficulty switch on your console. Move the switch to the A or left position, A for advance, remember, to fight an opponent who's strong and challenging. Move the switch to the B or right position for an opponent who's weaker and easier to beat. Press select to view your game options. One player appears at the top of the screen. Move the joystick handles to make different boxers blink, and press the joystick button to select the blinking boxer as your player. If you're using a 7800 Pro Line joystick, press either button. They both work the same way. The selected boxer disappears. Now select another boxer as your opponent. Okay. So, several different controls. Cover up, press the button and move the handle away from the opponent. Jab, press the button and move the handle towards the opponent. Body blow, press the button and pull the handle back. Payoff punch, press button and push handle forward. Okay. Cover up to defend yourself. Blocking your opponent's punches scores points and minimises your strength loss. When covering up, you're still in danger of a technical knockout if your opponent lands 12 successive punches before you can retaliate. Jabs are quick punches thrown with the leading arm that score points and weaken your opponents. Jabs can be thrown in a rapid flurry. A jab scores least of all the punches and weakens your opponent's least, but a flurry accumulates points and damage done to the opponent faster than any other punch. Okay. Boxers tire as they move around the ring and throw and take punches. The amount of yellow showing in a fighter's strength bar indicates the strength lead he has over the other boxer. Weakened boxers move slower, their punches are separated by longer delays, and their reaction to joystick commands are sluggish. To knock down an opponent, a boxer must land the correct punch from the correct position. Okay, so it sounds like a payoff punch is the best way to do that. Okay, well. Oh, each boxer has a weak spot. When your strength bar is blinking, use the correct punch in the right position to knock down your opponent. Iron Fists has tender ribs. A toe-to-toe body blow knocks him down. Jabbing Jack has a glass jaw. Get above him, then knock him down with a payoff punch to the chin. Lefty O'Leary has a weak stomach. Get below to knock him down with a low body blow. And Macho Man is tough, but he'll go down with a toe-to-toe payoff punch. Okay, so let me just remind myself of the controls. Body blow is pull back and press the button. Payoff punch is push up and press the button. Alright, let's give this a go. I don't think I've ever tried this yet, so this will be interesting to see how it goes. So, game select. One player. Jabbing Jack, Iron Fists or Macho Man. Let's go with Jabbing Jack to begin with. And we will fight Iron Fists. There's my flurry of jabs. I am the one in the yellow pants, by the way. Punch, 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 punch. Punch. Punch, 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 punch. Punch, 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 punch. Punch, 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 punch. Right. Take a rest. Okay, so I believe to knock him out, I just need to hammer him until my bar is full. And blinking, like we just seen. Punch, 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 punch. Punch, 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 punch. Oh, and then body blow. Or was he an uppercut person? I think he was an uppercut person, wasn't he? Payoff punch. Knock him out. It's not working. I'm winning. I am winning. I think. Right, it said I have to... Punch, 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 punch. I'm blocking now. This is... Oh, I got him. Knockout. Okay, right. So, that happened. Let's try again. I'll tell you what else we'll do. Let's bump up the difficulty as well. So, left difficulty to A for advanced. And let's be Jabbing Jack again, because he seemed quite fun. And we'll try fighting Lefty O'Leary. Alright, let's do it. Punch, 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 punch. Punch you in the face, I punch you in the stomach. Punch, 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 punch. He's landing quite a few on me in the middle of all that somehow. So I don't think I'm... Oh no! I don't think I'm quite taking the optimal strategy right now. Alright, come on, deck him, deck him! Trouble is, it's kind of hard to tell how he's scoring points. Is he blocking my shots? Because he doesn't look like he's blocking my shots. But yet my bar isn't going up at all. And his is. Like, he seems to be getting just as many points from that as I am. And his yellow bar is all the way up there and mine hasn't moved at all, so... Not 100% sure what's going on. Flurry of jabs. So his bar is full now, so he's probably going to try and knock me out now, I guess. Well, as soon as it starts blinking anyway. Like I say, even if I do a flurry of jabs on him, that seems to build his bar rather than mine. Not sure I understand what's happening here. Flurry of jabs. I'm definitely feeling the effects of that fatigue system they talked about in the manual. See, I punched him loads there, and then he knocked me out. I think it might be time to look at the manual again. Right. Boxers tire as they move around the ring and throw and take punches. The amount of yellow showing in a fighter's strength bar indicates the strength lead he has over the other boxer. The best way to knock out your opponent is land as many payoff punches as possible while protecting yourself from taking any blows. This increases your strength lead while weakening your opponent. When your strength bar starts blinking, give him the knockout punch. Your opponent might get up after several knockdowns, but he gets weaker all the time. Finally, the right punch from the right position will put him away. To punch effectively, get toe-to-toe with your opponent, a little above him, but still within reach so your punch connects. The best sign of flurry with payoffs is early in the fight when your reaction time is quickest. Whenever you throw a punch, you lose strength, so make your punches count. And running around the ring costs you strength. If you're weak, stay in one area and make your opponent come to you. Okay. Right, well, let's have another go. I'm going to put the difficulty back to beginner for now. Just because that seemed to make it a bit clearer what was going on. Okay, so game select, one player. Let's be someone different this time. Let's be Macho Man. And we will fight against Jabbin' Jack. Right, so that's a bunch of payoff punches there. And that's building up my strength lead slightly. But you will lose strength and tire out as you move around and throw punches. So that presumably diminishes your strength lead somewhat. Okay, I think I'm starting to get a feel for this a bit more now. It's less about punch, 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 and more about sort of landing as many punches as you can without wasting too much strength. Because if you spend too much time moving around or throwing punches that don't land, you're going to lose that strength lead. And you need that strength lead to win. Because without it, you're never going to get the opportunity to do a knockout punch. And at the same time, you need to make sure you're landing enough punches to get some points. Which my opponent is currently beating me on. Alright, let's try some body blows. Oh, no, he's taking the lead. Alright, some more of these. You know what, I think these boxes might actually handle differently as well. Alright, punch, punch. Punch, punch, punch. Punch, punch, punch. Punch, 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 punch. Punch, 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 punch. 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 Definitely finding it harder with Macho Man. I don't know if that's just because I've suddenly started playing it wrong, or if he actually does play differently. I mean, it'd be cool if he does play differently. Punch him in the face. Has he got more points than me? Alright, biff, smack, pow, biff, smack, pow. Punch. Punch. Punch, punch, punch. Punch, 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 punch. It's quite even, but I think he's got the slight edge on points. So if it does end up going however many rounds you do in boxing, is it 9? I think he's going to win. Unless we can turn things around noticeably. Punch, 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 punch. Punch, 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 punch. Punch, 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 punch. There we go. Oh, that's interesting. Sometimes your bar starts blinking when it's not full. Right, so I guess that's taking into account the boxer's stamina level as well. So after a certain stage it gets to a point where you can knock them down without having as big a strength lead over them. Because you're both knackered. He's down! Oh, he's up again. Right, we're making progress, though. Get down. Oh. I'm picking up those extra points. Trouble finishing him off is the only thing. Come on, fall over. He's down. And it's a victory for me. Oh. Okay, well, I don't know. That's a strange one, because in the heat of the moment, that feels very much like button mashing, and perhaps it is. But there's obviously something there, because different approaches to that were having an obviously different impact on the strength bars and the number of points you were getting. So there's obviously some depth to it. But as with a lot of these sports games that tried to add a bit of complexity to stuff, on the 2600 in particular, I think just maybe the implementation was just a little bit questionable. But that was actually quite fun. That was actually quite an interesting game, and you can tell this is a later release for a number of reasons. I mean, you got the more detailed sprites, you got those lovely gradient colours in the background there, and you've got more ambitious gameplay. As I say, it's not necessarily entirely successful in what it's doing, but I can tell what it's going for, and it comes pretty close to succeeding. As long as you understand the core mechanic of that game, which it's actually quite interesting to see that mechanic, because that sort of mechanic of building up a bar and then using that bar to defeat your opponent tends to be how modern wrestling games function, or at least I say modern wrestling games, I'm talking like SmackDown on the PS1 here. And I know that's more than 20 years old at this point, but wrestling games that are later than the Atari 2600, shall we say, tended to work that way. I don't know if they still do. I haven't played a wrestling game since SmackDown 2 on the PS1, I don't think. But yeah, that's actually the sort of system that ended up being incorporated into, I don't know what you call them, sports fighting games, I guess. So they're not arcade style fighting games, but attempts to be recreations of sports that involve fighting, if you see what I mean. So like I say, the wrestling games, UFC games, all that sort of thing. That kind of mechanic looks very much like it started here, which is cool. It's always interesting to sort of see the dawn of a mechanic, or at the very least something that might have popularized a particular mechanic. I don't know if this is the first game to incorporate that mechanic, but yeah, it's certainly an interesting game from that perspective. And it is very different from Activision's Boxing as well. Activision's Boxing is a lot simpler than this. A very strong focus on scoring points in Activision's Boxing, rather than the more sort of technical side of boxing, I guess. Activision's Boxing has got a lot more immediacy than this. I get the impression, in order for this to be truly enjoyable, you need to take a bit of time to practice and to learn how to fight effectively. Whereas in Activision's Boxing, it's just a case of positioning yourself properly so that you can punch your opponent in the face. So that's much more immediate, much easier to understand, much easier to introduce to friends as well, which is a key thing. I suspect this could be quite enjoyable if you have two people of equal skill. But if you have two people, one of whom knows what they're doing and the other person who has absolutely no idea what they're doing, this would not be a ton of fun. But it's interesting. And that's really what this whole series is about. It's about investigating these old Atari 2600 games that often don't get a lot of love, especially the sports games, and discovering that they actually do have some interesting stuff to offer. Whether that's from a historical perspective, or a mechanical perspective, a presentational perspective, looking at what the humble 2600 was capable of in the right hands, all sorts of things. So yeah, while this might not necessarily be a game where you want to spend a ton of time with, it was worth looking at. I'm glad we spent some time having a look at it together. So that was RealSports Boxing for Atari 2600. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.